wonder if I moved it there. Hello. Well, I am here as promised and did not let everyone know because I'm a bit pumped today for what to do. Well, for all of the things that I need to do. So I am here because I'm ready to be here, and I am sure that some of you will join me shortly. So I want to speak about the notes that have come through from my daily writing. Really, there's been a lot that's come through about both twins, but more predominantly about the divine masculine. So they're really in a bit of a new place, I can tell you that. So the very first thing is I want to read to you about the statement that I got from Father God the other day. If you didn't listen to my yesterday's video, then, or if you did, you would have already heard it. But when I said to Father God, so hi Fiona, thank you. When I said to Father God, so tell me what's going on with my divine masculine, the answer that I got was, he is becoming your match. You wouldn't want him taken out of the oven before he is cooked, and he will be splendiferous when he arrives. And so I just want to tell you that that's kind of where they're at. They're in this last place, really, of preparation. There is this sense of this kind of feeling of it drawing in or drawing closer. There's this sense of almost like some kind of ignition or explosion or some revelation to come. And I believe that we're going to get that on a bigger platform about us as humanity, but also on this kind of platform as well with the twins. So the other thing that was said was, remember that this is an eternal relationship. Once these come together, these twin soul divine counterparts come together, that's it. We're back together for forever. And you should be in my head. Oh my goodness me. It was like somebody put one of those massage wire forks on my head. That was weird. Hi Lauren, hi Phoenix. So there's these interesting things. So one of the things that happened to me is that I went out for lunch with a friend of mine and met her twin. And so I got to say some things to him and ask him about what had been going on for him of late and where he was feeling things. And I can tell you, it was really, really good feedback. And so I'll share that with you. So I talked to him about what it was like when he was away. And he said, well, so this is when my friend went to the bathroom. So he and I had a private conversation, not that we wanted to have that without her, but it just so happened. And he said to me, well, I could not get her out of my head. She was just, I could hear her voice the whole time. And he said that, there was music that came, there were songs that came that were meaningful to him. And then I said to him about his recognition of her and how that looked. And that I think I said, well, my information is that the divine masculine are really coming into their hearts. And he looked at me and he said, yes, that's true. He said, I have been a very, mental, in the mind, doing the planning, doing the sorting, very much in the mind and not really in my heart at all. But this has just really opened up my heart and my feelings and my emotions. And I said to him, so have you been crying? And he looked at me and he said, no, I'm not a crier. And I said, I got this message the other day that a lot of us, a lot of the feminines were crying because the masculines were crying. And then he went on to say, no. And then he proceeded to tell me how my friend had sent him this piece of music and that when he listened to it, he cried. And I looked at him and I said, then you have cried. And he went, oh, yeah, but it was a while ago. And then she returned to the table at that point and she said, what was a while ago? And he said, when you sent me that piece of music and I cried. She said, that was only 2 weeks ago. I rest my case. Anyway, it was really good feedback for me to have this divine masculine talking to me and telling me, what I've been perceiving about what's going on for them. Yeah, I'm just heating up again. It's a bit crazy. Okay, so I'll read these notes. Let me just say hi. Oh yeah, I know, Fiona. I said that to him. Oh, I'm really appreciative of being able to have this conversation with you. And also, this is the other thing. He said something to me about his past relationships, and then he said, but this is the last one. And I went, mm-hmm. And he said, because this is for forever. And I went, yeah, it is. And so it was just so cool to have him, speaking to me and using the languaging that you and I, the divine feminines, might use. And here he was speaking of that as well. So yeah, it's so that's come together, and there's more movement, there's more motion, there's more conversation, there's more connection. So yeah, I would love to know where you are at. The other day I had this kind of private conversation with my higher self, and I said, okay, look, I'm good if he's not going to come. I'm kind of done with waiting. I am kind of done with the space that this is taking. And so if it is that he isn't going to come, then I'm good with someone else who will love me the way that I love him. And I kid you not, so my divine masculine often kind of slopes in behind me and energetically is around. And I kid you not, I felt him come up behind me, kiss me on the cheek, tell me he loved me, and then gave me some dialogue about where he's at and what he has to do in order to get here. And so yeah, there was that. And then more recently, I've been shown this energetic merge that's gone on maybe last week. So I'll get to that. So Father God talking also about, remember that this is an energetic connection. So even if you have not physically ever met your divine masculine, there's your soul signature and their soul signature, and they are the same. And one is magnetic and one is electrical. Oh, and that's the other thing that this man said to me. He said it's like, and so he's explaining to me his perception of this arrangement, this relationship, and he's saying it's like two magnets. You can't not come together once one's in positive and one's in negative polarity. So yeah, that was interesting because he has a bit of an engineering background, so it's quite cool to hear then using that that's what he was doing. He was using his mechanical construction languaging to describe what we know as the energetics of it. So each the bigger picture understanding of it, which you will all know, but I'll just reiterate, is that you and the divine feminine and the divine masculine are appearing. They came from the same soul, therefore they hold the same, what I would call, soul song, soul signature, soul vibration, soul resonance. It's exact. It's an exact match. And so the only thing that can really and so it was interesting for me to play with that. Get out of the way and let someone else come. That was like, well, no, that isn't happening. This coming together, it's this, this perfection, this perfect fit. And then there's all the other bits that go with it about the relationship paradigms that you and they will be dismantling and the building of new ones. And then there's the timing of it. So the timing of it is that we're on a run up to our ascension into another dimensional space, and so there has to be a number of twin unions that come together to precipitate that. I think that's probably all about that little bit. So the DMs, they are in deep sorting, sifting, and they are doing this from this rather incredible place of deep integrity. And they are now in this higher knowing. That's what sits with them. There's a higher knowing about this connection, that it's a connection that, let's face it, most of them or many of them have been putting in the too hard box, or sticking in a box and putting a lid on it to just push it aside for a while because their timing doesn't feel right. And right now the lid is off and it's in front of them and they have to look at it. So they are ending these chapters neatly and completely. That's what I got. They have this higher awareness now that their three-dimensional self may not yet be conscious of, but that their higher self is running the show. So I definitely get that. If there was a tagline for where they're at, it's that their higher self is running the show. So I wrote this. They are not some ordinary being, and we have to remember that. The divine masculines and the divine feminines must come into their own higher alignment, their own wholeness through integrous actions for all involved. And so for some of the divine masculine, that's quite a contingent. It's jobs, it's houses, it's partners, it's children, it's families, it's location, it's money. And to remember that this is not a transactional connection. You are forming relationships that sit in the higher realms around this, and each of you undoing old patterns, all of whatever it is that you've contracted to undo, and that you do that individually, and then you come together and you undo more. And it's not that you have to have undone it all by yourself, it's just that you will have proceeded along some of that. As we get finer and finer and higher until each has attended to their healing, wounding, undoing the patterns, and then recognizing this love coming into that with self. And so this is where the masculine are at now. They are choosing this higher love over transactional love, and now they have to extricate for that. And so what we have to do, what the divine feminine have to do, is hold space for and with that knowing that this is orchestrated, that there are sequential actions that need to occur, that it's lined up. And I kind of see it as imagining that we are in this kind of updraft between two cliffs and we're suspended there, and we know and trust that we're held and that all is well, and that we'll be able to just hop onto the other side when everything is in the right timing and alignment. And so this is us releasing any neediness. The divine feminines need to release any neediness around it, which is not that you don't desire it, but that you don't have neediness. It's not graspy and grabby. And so we have to be in our own wholeness, our own togetherness, our own integrity, on track with our own mission, and in the deep, deep knowing that they are coming, and in the deep, deep trust that the divine is bringing them. And also, just let me read this to myself. Nothing. And also, for us to recognize and acknowledge this deep tiredness, because we've been out in the ethers doing our work, doing our light warrior work, and we've been holding space, and probably in a way that has made us more tired than if we had handed it over. But it feels quite stretched, doesn't it? We feel quite stretched, and on top of that, we're doing this work for the collective as our in our own sort of soul right. That for some, your preparation is complete, and that's what I was shown and told, or incompletion. The work that you have done, this preparation of self, this attending to your woundings, and we all have them. That's been part of the deal, part of the arrangement is, many of us will have woundings that came from early times of being here that have been exacerbated over time, and that in this lifetime we've had to attend to those. But this coming into greater love for self, that's definitely something we've had to do. And now really getting clearer about our own mission and our vision for that. So it's time for us to be holding the vision for our partnership, our connection, as well as our mission, even if we don't know exactly what our partnership mission is. And I can tell you that, I have really sat with I have this, a bigger sort of picture of it, and Gaia has shown me some things, and she told both of us some things, because he energetically comes to Gaia's cave with me sometimes, and for quite a long time, most days he would be there, and we would be having conversations about this time in the world and what we would be required or requested to do by her. And I don't know all the ins and outs of it. And I've really sat in the space of, well, just because I have the capacity and the wherewithal to be able to gather that information, I have always felt it will be more empowering for him and for us to explore that together. So you don't have to do that, but that's the place that I came to with it. What else is here? Oh, yes. So to be envisaging the union and the energetic recognition or recognition. And so just, I know, I guess I'm saying that because we've been in this place where we've been throwing a bit of a curved ball, and we've been throwing a doubt mat. And I want to remind you, you go back to that place of your feeling, the energetic connection, the feeling in your heart, the vibration, the sexual energy, the fact that you haven't been able to put their energy aside, or the here, just as that divine masculine was talking about, couldn't get her voice out of his head. And that's a lot of the same that we have. And so just if you are in any doubt, I want you to just go go through some of those experiences that you've not had with anybody else in the entirety of your life. And just remind yourself how powerful, how synchronistic, how energetic, how love-filled it is. Yeah, so just have that energetic reminder, recognition about it, and be the love. That's the other thing I want to say to you. Be the love. So I often say to my clients, you become who you want to attract. And so that's in all ways, but especially in partnership. So we become this incredible, love-filled, whole, healed, altruistic person with an idea of mission, and then we attract that. So this I want to say, honestly, sometimes I'm writing so quickly, it's hard to check it. Yeah, so this, that it is done. So you are in the knowing that this is done, and see it in your vision if you see, feel it in your body if you feel, whatever your psychic gift is. I want to say hold it in that space and watch it sliding together or coming together or being pulled together. And just check in with yourself. Am I complete? Is my preparation complete, or is it incompletion? And if it's incompletion, then what might be the work that I need to do? And then you be the love. And then you can release it into what I call the swirling vortex of creation. So you can conjure the whole thing up, your union, your partnership, what it's like, what it looks like, feels like. And I think the feeling is the more powerful mode to work with. How you feel in it, how you make them feel, and how they make you feel, and kind of, well, I've been using the phrase, roll around in it, roll around in the energy of it, bathe in the energy of it, and then send it into the swirling vortex of creation, knowing that it's yours and knowing that it will return to you in perfect divine timing. And soak in the illumination of yourself so that all you have become through this process, through this connection, through this evolvement, and in the knowing that it will arrive in divine perfection. So remember who you are, remember where you come from. And this is a very big picture arrangement. These are not small, insignificant connections. These are huge missions. You were chosen because you have this ability to be dwelling in this higher love, because you have a soul connection with the other part of your soul that is of that higher love that can lead the way for relationships. And it's not that it's bigger or greater than what other people are doing. It's just that it's a relationship mission and contract. So just remember that. So the other day, I tuned into this crying, and I said to Gaia, what are all the tears for? Why are the divine feminines and the divine masculines crying? And I got this. We are crying the tears of 1,000 tears. We are crying for the children who have had their innocence tainted, for the women who have had their sexual power infiltrated, for the men who have had their sensitive hearts broken, for the lives lost, for the love missed, for the love betrayed, and for the tenderness stolen. And as we transcend one lost tear at a time, one recovered moment of love, one breath at a time, as we rise up into our whole, healed, loved selves and integrate our higher gifts and wisdom, come into greater balance and aligned divine selves, all unfolds. Now I've got another thing here. Remember, their higher self is now ruling the show, and so their physical self is being reconnoitered to come into alignment with that. So it will be making adjustments. The higher self will be making conditions of, well, look at that. Oh, yes, that isn't working anymore. This idea of purpose and mission, as well as arising in all of humanity at the moment, which is helping to guide people. So I asked about this being a compulsory union, and it definitely shows up as that. Also, I got earlier today that there's this timeline compression on these partnerships from above, and that it may feel a bit like a G-force on the body. It's to propel these connections forward. What on earth does that say? There is some prerequisite requirements for new unions for this dimensional shift. And so there's this, I know that that's something that Guy spoke about a while ago, that there had to be a lot of twin unions coming together in October for the November 11/11 portal. Okay, let me see. Oh yeah, there's this merging thing. So I got this maybe yesterday or the day before. This idea that there's this merging going on between twins, and I would think that some of you will have felt it, so let me know. So it was like this. I felt I was being shown this, and I felt it almost as though my divine counterpart was like almost brushing my body, and I got shown that it was a fourth dimensional merge designed to help ground the connection more, because we're arising up into the fifth dimension, but it's making it more tangible for the masculine. And it was if you think about the energetic field that's around us, which many of us can see, or many of us know that there might be 7 layers to it, and that will become more, or merged. But anyway, it's the layer that's here. It's the etheric energy body, and that was where the merging was taking place. So let me just read this to you. Twins' energetic bodies are dancing in the 4th/5th dimension, giving a very physical experience for twins, as though they are brushing one another's extremities, and this will arouse the sensory body as there's this merging. And so many of you will have had mergers in all sorts of ways, no doubt, like I have. But this is it's like I don't know what to call it really, a taster. But it's designed to pull them in. And I think that that's it. Although let me share with you the little notes that I wrote before about today. So I got that today. Yes, honestly, the date eludes me because it just feels like such a long space between days. Mystic upgrades reference the tingling, heady sensations being experienced as psychic abilities continue to expand. So let me know if any of you are feeling those. And I was being shown this incredible vision of the globe. I'm viewing the world in the beginning of a new piece of music. It's a new orchestra. It's new music, new sound, and new frequency. And we will begin to move and dance in a new way and with a new rhythm or movement. It will be more freestyle and less rigid. It comes with new notes and new frequency, enhancing, uplifting, and with greater buoyancy. And these notes are activating the higher heart and greater knowledge and information around mission and purpose in all of humanity. That there will be a noticeable internal shift for all, a pull towards greater alignment in how each of us conducts our life. This will propel people towards work and relationships that are more congruent to this higher alignment. And work and people who do not sync up within the soul's frequency will fall away. So all of that kind of, links into this work that we're doing as the Twins Divine Counterpart Collective. So let me see, because that's what I've got here for us. Lauren, I woke up to the words, "I finally found you." That's beautiful. And Phoenix, thank you for delivering your Divine Counterparts updates. I appreciate it. Thank you. Fiona, what a fab chat to have. I know. I just thought, what a brilliant opportunity to have this amazing conversation with him. Dean, dealing with serious karmic legalities, tried to push me away after I reached out. Communication is limited and a knowing gives me peace. Yeah, that's the only way to view it. The energetic aspect is really beyond us. So it's sorted by the universe. And so we have to be tuning into that inner knowing, that inner connection, that higher wisdom, knowing it will come in divine timing. But it's that whole pressure thing that I was seeing and being shown today is very much like putting your hand on a toy train and pushing it along really, really quickly rather than just tapping it along. It's that kind of impact. And so these karmic situations are I always see them as resolved for purpose. That a lot of karmic situations are teaching situations. They might be karmic in terms of consequences and actions, but I believe that most of that is exiting, if not exited, our world, and that the karmic connections, from what I know, it's more about them having finishing school, or if it's us in a karmic situation, we're in finishing school. We're getting to a point where we can come together in this beautiful, intense, loving connection, and to be able to manage it in a way that's more gentle with the intensity. So there's learning that comes from those. And so I just invite you to see it like that when the learning is done, then the undoing of that will occur. And that should be happening pretty quickly, is my understanding. Wellbeing navigator, I've had to let my DM go. He's dealing with too much trauma. Well, yeah, maybe. And maybe it will be resolved, because there's also, when we go through our ascension wave, our final solar flash, a lot of that will be transmuted, diffused, eradicated, exploded, extinguished. And so letting your DM go is a really powerful thing to do. I think the more that we do that, the more it kind of enables them to do the work they have to do. It enables them to be, standing in their own power and in their own empowerment. And I think that that's been one of the trending energetic changes that's happened over this past month, is that, these energies have separated out, as we've felt. Well, where have they gone? But it's all been about that. It's been because we energetically have been holding them through a little bit of this. They held us through the whole thing, and then we've been holding them through this opening, but now it's time for them to be in recognition of their own power, their own majesty, and to come into that. So yes, I'll tell you, I let my divine masculine go, every other day. I'm just like, yep, I'm letting it go. I'm just casting the boat out from the shore, and it'll come back when it needs to. And the more that we can do that, or be in that space of it being somewhere else, I believe, it comes back in. It's that the weird, wacky nature of this connection. Yeah. So he will need to deal with his things, and I can tell you that they will deal with them, or they will be assisted to deal with them, or they will be guided to someone who will help them, and that a lot of it will happen quite quickly. I just know that in my work now, the undoing can happen really, really quickly. There's this kind of like zeroing into the underneath part. And I think when I played with the energies of it, and I remember when I first started doing this work, I would kind of pull off a layer and pull off a layer and pull off a layer and pull off a layer. And then I started playing with, I wonder if I went to the bottom layer, what would happen? And so sometimes it doesn't work all the time, but sometimes when you go right to the bottom layer, that initial core wounding, and you attend to that, the rest of it goes, because the rest of it, that's the foundation for it. So anyway, that's a possibility as well. And yeah, he does need to deal with it. And so I want to say, from their perspective, how I view it is this. So they've been coming into their hearts, their higher hearts opening, their recognition of mission and purpose. They've had to connect up heart, higher heart, and throat, and they've had to get their mind function, their practicality, egoic personality self to just move out of the way, and to begin to trust what comes from the heart as their guidance, their GPS. And in doing that, then they will begin, the wounding can arise, the wounding can be seen. And when they recognize that it's energetic, that it's not who they are, it's an experience that they have had. And so when we can separate those out, it can be less personal. It's like learning a new skill, and the skill is in the undoing, the registering of something, and always to see it as energy. So I know for me that I've more and more, that's how I've dealt with healing, is that to let the story go. It's not that the story might need to be told, but the story doesn't need to be told over and over. And then we can look at what sits under the story. What's the initial wounding that created the story? And it can be amazing how quickly things can be resolved. So that's how I have seen it, and been dealing with it in a different way more lately. All right. Yeah. No. Okay. Yeah, so when I tune into Heidi, I really get the idea that it's almost as though he's going to come under so much pressure that he kind of splits off. It's like he separates out from himself, and he stands here and is able to see himself with more detachment. And so that looks like what he will be doing. Anything else in here? Beautiful lessons being learned. I think it will even help with mission. Yes. Yeah, and the other thing, Heidi, is that, you know, when they are in their personality self, they can be blaming you. They can be blaming their divine counterpart. And when they come into being accountable to their own energy field, that's, you know, when they can line up with that pretty quickly. So I will bid you good afternoon or good evening or good night or good morning, and yeah, just bathe in the knowing. All right, lots of love.